Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, we'll be getting started in just a minute or two here.
I just check, can everyone hear me? Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
As I am the one sharing my screen here, I can't see any of the chat or whatever, so I'll be relying on Emily to help me out with that.
And Bruce is here, Kev, too.
Oh, okay.
Don't know if you can see.
I can't see.
Yeah, I'm here, Kevin. We're going to give everyone 30 more seconds and then we'll start. I want to be respectful of your time. All right. Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to the Camp Burgess and Hayward Camper Question and Answer. My name is Bruce, and I am the Executive Director of Camp Burgess and Hayward. I am also the Vice President of Camping for the South Shore YMCA. And this May, in a month's time, I will celebrate my 30th anniversary at camp. So I have been here a long time. You can tell by my gray hair. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I am also joined with our directors, Emily and Kevin. You guys want to introduce yourselves and then we'll jump into it?
Yeah, sure. So I am Kevin. I am the new Burgess director this year. Well, I say I'm new. I've been around camp for a very long time. I actually started here as a camper when I was 7 years old back in 2005, and eventually became a member of staff. I was a counselor, the assistant director. Now here I am as the director. So thrilled to be back and could not be more excited for the summer.
Yeah, and my name is Emily McGuinness. I've been working at camp since 2015. This year I will be celebrating my 30th birthday, not to age Bruce, but I have been working at camp since 2015, as I said. This is going to be my fourth summer as director, so I'm very excited to welcome old faces and new faces. I know exactly what it's like to be somewhere that's not particularly your comfort zone. When I came to camp for the first time, I'd never been to America, let alone summer camp. So very excited to share my passion with camp with everyone. And obviously I'm from Scotland. That's why I sound so funky.
Hey, Kevin, is there a reason? I know we muted everyone. Is there a reason why we can't see anyone?
No, cameras should be available. We kept that on.
All right. All right. Well, if your camera's available, we'd love to see you. I'm hoping that along with camp parents that we have a bunch of campers in attendance as well. We do have a slideshow we're going to go through, and it has a lot of agenda items or topics that we think might be questions that you would ask. But as we go through, if you have any questions, just type them into the box. We can't keep people muted or unmuted, just because there's going to be probably about 150 of you on the line when all is said and done. But please feel free to type in your questions. If we don't respond to them right away, it means that we might get to them in a little while. And we are recording the session, so we will endeavor to answer every single question that you have, and I hope we get questions from parents and campers. But as I said, if you are not shy, put your camera on so we can see you. We always love to see the kids there, some campers. Hi, guys. Welcome. So a very, very quick overview. You are either signed up for Burgess or Hayward. Burgess is our boys' camp. In 3 years' time, we will be celebrating our 100th anniversary in 2028. So we've been around a long time. And our girls' camp, Camp Hayward, on the other side of the pond, is started in 1960. So this will be 65 years for Camp Hayward. Also been a long time. The camps are separate dining halls and restrooms and cabins and dining halls and program areas. But we do a lot of activities together. So we do have 3 large pontoon boats that we shuttle campers back and forth. So there is a lot of interaction between the campers, but the camps, for the most part, well, not for the most part, they are on separate sites. So, and on that note, I'm going to turn it over to our directors, and we'll begin.
All righty. All right. So just to kind of start us off, I know Bruce kind of touched on at the intro to who we are and what we do here at camp. We are constantly working with Hayward, doing activities with them. We do co-ed days, things like that. We have a camp dance. It's a lot of fun. We'll talk about all those activities in a few minutes. But to start us off, you have to be ready to pack for camp. So we do have a full packing list that's located in our parent guide, which I highly recommend you all check out. Ton of useful information in there. We're going to try and cover as much as we can here tonight. But again, we want to be sensitive to your time. So please check out our website to see that as well. A couple basics. It's really important that you pack enough clothes for the entire session. The last thing we want is a camper running out of clothes, with only a couple days left. It's just a sticky situation. So please double check your packing list. Make sure you have everything you need, maybe even a few extra set of clothes as well, in case some clothes get rained on. If they're out in the rain, we try and do rainy day activities inside, but inevitably, we're in the outdoors. People get dirty. So please try and pack enough for, again, if you're here for 2 weeks, 2 weeks worth, and 1 week, obviously 1 week. So camp is also, again, a great place where we like to take a break from electronics. So we ask that when coming to camp, double check that you don't have any cell phones, iPads, tablets, Kindles, smartwatches, video game systems, anything electronic, really. We try and stay away from, again, in our ever-growing technological world here, camp is the perfect place to kind of reset, take a break, and just be outside. If they do end up accidentally, they got their phone in their pocket or something like that, and we notice it after you've already dropped your camper off, we keep it safe in the main office so no one else has access to it except for Emily or myself. But again, just try and double check. Packing is the first step to having a successful session at camp.
I see a lot of happy parents around the cell phone rule, Kev. So I see a lot of thumbs up going on. So that's good.
Yeah, I wish I could see everyone. It's a little tough, but
there you
go. Also, kind of going off that, we really want to shy away from bringing any candy, soda, gum, snacks like that. Obviously allergies. A lot of people have food allergies. So we kind of ask that you don't bring anything to camp that maybe someone else has an allergy to. We do have what's called Pop Stop. So, we do give out a candy bar for, I don't know if we still do it this way, but, we do candy one day and then we have a healthy option the other day, fruit, things like that. So they get their share of snacks as well while they're here at camp. Going forward, other things, fireworks, matches, lighters, anything like that, knives. A lot of campers and parents ask about whether they can bring knives if they like to whittle wood or things like that. We just stay away from all that. So again, just please make sure you're not accidentally leaving something in a bag. And obviously, alcohol and drugs are prohibited on our property, as well as vapes, jewels, and cigarettes.
And let me answer a couple questions right off. So if electronics are lost, if your child shows up with electronics, we will take them and store them in the office. They will be safe. You'll get them back at the end. If we don't know they have them and they lose them, we are sorry, but we are not responsible. Someone asked a question about specific food things. We will get to the food and the menu later. We can accommodate vegans and vegetarians and all variety of dietary issues. So that is not a problem, including things that have to do with oral immunotherapy or so. All that stuff, we are well versed in that. So back over to you guys.
Awesome. So I'm going to take over here and talk a little bit about our Camp Health Centre. But before I do so, in order to set yourselves up for success, if your camper takes any sort of medication, please make sure to fill out the necessary forms. So we have health forms on our Camp Brain site. So where you registered your camper, you can upload the necessary documentation just to let us know that your camper does take medication. Obviously, we are ever changing people. So sometimes if you upload the form and your camper is taking medication that is not listed on that form, please don't worry. We're just trying to set ourselves up for the best success possible. On that online platform, you can also list anything that they are allergic to, including over-the-counter medications, penicillin, things like that. So we want to set ourselves up for success before even arriving at camp. Once you do arrive at camp on check-in day, you have the opportunity to see camp a little bit. You have the opportunity to check your camper in, set their, bunk up. But if your camper takes any sort of medication whatsoever, anything from over-the-counter medication to prescription, it has to go to the health centre. So even if your camper takes Tums, they will still go to the health centre just as a precaution. We want to keep everyone as safe as possible. So just to reiterate, any type of medication whatsoever, even from a vitamin, this will live at the health centre. So after you have dropped your camper off, you've set up the bunk, you're going to go and visit our health centre where you're going to meet our camp nurses. We have 4 camp nurses at camp, and we actually have a urgent care facility around 9 minutes away. So if you had to go to the doctor for whatever reason, that is very, very close to us. But at the health centre, you are going to make sure that you are bringing the medication that your camper takes in that prescription bottle, if it is a prescription. So you want to make sure that the label is still on that lists your camper's name, lists the camper's dosage, and you're also going to want to tell us how many pills are in that box just to make sure that we have everything up to date. At that point, you can talk to the nurse. You can learn what the nurse will learn how your camper takes this medication, when they take it. Taking meds at camp is very, very common. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. Everyone keeps their medication in the health centre, so it's quite a social place, I would say. It's a good place to hang out and take your meds, but you want to make sure that you are, telling the nurse exactly what your camper needs. And I saw in the chat there, if your camper needs to take something because they are trying to reintroduce a certain food back into their diet, that would also go to the nurses and they can work with you there. But our health centre is available 24/7, so it never closes. There are times in the day that we like to give our nurses just time to organise and get ready for the next med time. Typically, our med times are before and after meals, starting with breakfast, before and after breakfast, lunch, and then dinner. But obviously it depends on the camper. So it is open 24/7. We try to have some hours of the day to be emergency only. So, at nighttime, we want to make sure that everyone has a good night's sleep. But if your camper is not feeling well, of course, they can visit the health centre. It's never quote unquote closed. But as I mentioned, we do have some times that we just like to make it emergency only. Again, we work with Cape Cod Pediatrics. It's around 9 minutes away. If your camper ever had to go to the doctor, for example, if they had a strep throat, for example, we would call you and make sure that you are kept in the loop at all times. In emergency circumstances, we refer to the nurse's best judgment. And on our website, there's a waiver there that you would sign to make sure that you are aware that should an emergency happen, we would, make sure that your camper is going to be receiving the best care possible in a timely manner. But yeah, as I mentioned, we are in constant contact with yourselves as camp families, and the nurse has a phone in their offices. So, they are, if you wanted to speak to them at any time, you could. So that's... Sorry,
Yeah.
Bruce, did you have something
No,
to add?
that's okay. I just want to chime in. The question was asked, are medicines like ibuprofen available? Yes. We have fully stocked health centers at both camps. There's no medicines you need to bring unless stuff that your child takes, but there's nothing that you need to bring. And just on in term the notification, so during the day, it's not uncommon we have campers come and see the nurse. They're playing a game, they get a scrape, counselor brings them to the health center, they put a Band-Aid on, whatever it is. Unless, in that situation, you will not get a call. If your child if we think they need to go to the local pediatrics or to the urgent care, if they're leaving the property, then we will notify you. We will call you and say, hey, look, this is what happened. We think maybe your child has strep throat. We're going to go get a test. Or they fell and hurt their arm. We're going to take them to the urgent care. We will contact you. If they just show up at the health center and they need an ibuprofen or whatever it is, we will not contact you. But just know that. Of course, if there's a concern, we will. But we don't call families every time a camper comes to the health center. So a couple of the questions: do you have to ask a counselor to go to the nurse if they feel sick? Typically, yes. Right, the child will not just go to the health center on their own. They will tell their counselor. The counselor will either know they're not feeling well, or they'll say to their counselor, "I'm not feeling well," and then the counselor will go with them to the health center. So the child will not go on his own or her own. Back over to you guys.
I was going to add, just before we go on to the next slide, that when we check on check-in day, there's like a orientation day for campers, so they'll meet all the necessary personnel that work with us, including the nurses, including our waterfront directors, etc. But just as we're on the nurses, everyone has to go through a really quick lice check. So if we find lice on a camper, it is our protocol that the camper returns home until they are lice free, and of course they can come back, not a problem at all. This is done in a very discreet way, so nothing to be embarrassed about, but just as a precaution, it might be a good idea for you to check everyone's head before they come to camp as well, because that's going to be taking place. So even the staff go through this every single check-in day, so it's not just the campers. So just something to be prepared for.
All right. So now I want to talk about kind of what a quote unquote typical day at camp looks like. As I mentioned briefly before, we're always mixing in different activities to keep things fresh. So check-in and check-out times. Check-in is Sunday, 1 to 2:30 p.m. Check-out is Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. We send reminder emails, a couple days in advance as well, just to make sure everyone knows the time frame. If there's ever a reason, let's say you're stuck in traffic or something's happened, just please get in touch with us, call our main office. We understand things happen. So obviously we prioritize, those pickup times. But again, we know things happen. So just make sure you let us know. In terms of the daily schedule, we start our mornings at flagpole, the flag raising. This is how we start every day. Every single person on camp shows up outside the respective dining halls. We raise the flag, take attendance, say the Pledge of Allegiance, and have some funny jokes there to start our day. And then we all head inside for breakfast. From breakfast usually goes until 8 to 8:45, 9 o'clock, giving kids time to go back to their cabins with their counselors and prepare for their interest groups. So what interest groups are, you'll see there's 2 blocks in the morning. Every camper on camp gets to pick their interest groups for the session. Now, obviously, we only have a certain amount of spots for certain activities, so we can't have 50 kids doing canoeing. But we do our best to really make sure that people get what they want. They list their top 5 activities, anything on the waterfront, from swimming, canoeing, kayaking, all the way to, we do land sports, arts and crafts, and things like that. So every camper gets to fill out their top 5 choices. And we do our best to make sure that they're going to the activities that they really want to do. It's also a great time where campers kind of split from their cabin. Sometimes 1 or 2 kids from a cabin will do the same interest groups, and that's great. Other times, a kid will really want to do an activity, and that's a good opportunity for them to meet even more potential friends there at camp. So it's really nice how, we get to split everyone up and make sure people are hanging out with not just necessarily the people in their cabin. Going forward, lunch is at 12 o'clock. and that goes until the same thing, about 12:45. Then we have a rest period we call siesta from 1 to 2. This is a really great time of day because our age groups of kids, that we put them in what's called units. So it's a group of 4 to 6 to 7 cabins, and all those cabins are right next to each other. So after lunch, if your camper wants to read a book in bed, they can. If they want to write a letter home, they can. If they want to go outside and throw a frisbee with maybe someone from another cabin, they can do that too. It's just kind of a hangout, relax, kind of recover from the morning, which is a lot of fun. So from there, we have what's called beach party, which is exactly what it sounds like. The entire camp will head on down to the waterfront. We'll throw on some music, and it's just a great time where, again, we like having everyone together on camp as much as we can. So everyone's down there. If they don't want to get in the water, we open up our volleyball court to play different games. We also have an activity called Gaga Ball, which, if you don't know, I'm sure your camper will come home raving about it. It's a ton of fun. So there's options at beach party. It's another great time for everyone to be together. From there, we do the pop stop, which is the snacks that I talked about earlier. And then they get into cabin activity periods, which is CAP for short. So that's where the cabin really is together. Again, as you can tell, we mix it up a lot where they're not together with their cabin. The afternoons are where the cabin really can come together and bond even more than they already have. So similarly, the counselors will select some CAP activities the night before in their unit meetings. And that can be anything from the water trampoline to swimming to et cetera, et cetera. And, we train our staff to really focus on what the kids want to do. Obviously, we're here to make sure our campers are having as much fun as possible. So if your kids are really into arts and crafts, we tell them, hey, you should probably sign up for arts and crafts. But again, there's 2 of those. So it's a good variety where they're not doing the same thing over and over. We have countless activities to do. So they do 2 of those cap periods, head back to their cabin, change, get ready for dinner. From there, we do a flagpole ceremony again, where we lower the flag and then head right into dinner. After dinner is typically when we have our camp store open. So we make sure that every cabin has an opportunity to go to the store throughout the session. If for whatever reason your camper couldn't get something they wanted or whatever, we have it open on checkout day as well for you to pop in there and make any purchases you'd like. After dinner, there's one more cabin activity period, there's 2 more cabin activity periods. In my experience, a lot of counselors and campers alike like to do something a little more relaxed as an activity after dinner. Some don't. Some have a high motor and they just want to go. If they want to do water trampoline after dinner, they'll do it. But just one more activity. And then from there, some of the older campers do a 4th, even shorter activity period. And then it's time for bed. So one thing we do when it's time for bed, the counselors and the kids, they all get ready for bed. They all hop in bed. And that's a great time for what we call cabin chat. It's just a good way to ask campers what they enjoyed about today, maybe what they didn't enjoy as much as they thought they would about the day, and kind of just debrief and talk about their experience, which helps our counselors kind of prepare for the next day. Again, so this is a basic layout. Over the course of a 2-week session, we probably only have 4 days that look exactly like this. Because as we've talked about, we're always doing events over at Hayward, such as Co-Ed Day, where everyone goes over there and it'll be Olympic themed or carnival themed. And again, we do kind of all unit games where all kids of the same age group will play some massive game on our property. So it's always mixing it up and keeping things fresh, which is a lot of fun.
And just before we go on to the, sorry.
No, before we go on, I have a couple things. So go ahead, Emily.
Yeah, so before we go on to the next slide, a couple of people were asking, how do campers sign up for their activities? When do they sign up? As I mentioned before, when you check in, so I'm speaking to the campers on the call, when you guys check in and mom and dad or the family members are gone, now it's time to have fun, right? So then we're going to go and visit all of the places around camp that we need to learn about. We just kind of set the tone for the rest of the session. So you're going to quickly visit the waterfront. You're going to do a really quick swim test. It's called a swim test, but it's a really, really short swim in our waterfront area. This is just to check if you need to wear a life jacket or not. If you need to wear a life jacket, do not worry. All of the counsellors will be wearing a life jacket when they're down at the waterfront anyway. So if you find yourself needing to wear a life jacket and you haven't quote unquote passed the swim test, please don't worry about it. Nothing to be ashamed of. The waterfront directors just want to keep everyone safe. So you're going to visit the waterfront. You're also going to visit the dining hall when we're going to go over our food options. For those of us who have dietary restrictions or are vegetarian, this is when you learn where your food is going to be stationed. And during your visit to the dining hall, this is when our program directors are going to explain all of the activities that we have to offer in the morning during interest group time. And you'll find, as Kev said, that all of the activities available in the morning are available in the afternoon. So don't worry if you don't get your top choice. You're going to do that with your cabin anyway. So you're going to choose your activities, list them through 1 through 5, and the program directors will explain a little bit about each of the activities so you can make an informed choice. We want to think that, you know, everyone would like to try as many activities as possible, and you want to keep your mind open to trying new things, and then we can go from there. But all of the activities are amazing. Our counsellors are so much fun, but you learn a lot about the activities and how to choose them. Your counsellors are, of course, going to be there during that time to help you choose the activities. And then also when you come to the camp store, I see a lot of questions about, you know, how much money should I put in my camper's store account? We typically say if you want to get a hoodie, you know, $50 will cover that. If a camper doesn't have any money in their store account, we can just give you a call home, not a problem. And we can, you know, if a camper wants something from the store, they're never going to be denied it. It's something that we can sort out behind the scenes. But I would say as a rule of thumb, if you want a hoodie, it's around $50. Sorry, Bruce.
No, that's okay. So a couple things that are coming up. A few of you have asked questions about food. We are going to talk about that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Emily and Kevin, is there another slide coming up about the camp store or not?
I
No.
don't believe so, yeah.
No.
Okay, I'll talk about the store in a second. A few of you have asked questions about cabin mates and making cabin mate requests. We will address that as well. But before we move away from check-in, a couple things. This is important. So it says on the slide, check-in is Sunday from 1 to 2:30, which is true. There is no need for you to get there early. We will not check anyone in before 1 o'clock. So if you get there 12 or 12:30 or 12:50, you cannot go into camp until 1 o'clock. And we don't start the rotation that Emily was talking about until after 2:30. The beds, the bunks are already assigned, so there is no, it's fine if you want to get there a bit early, but I'm just so you know, there's no advantage. Back in the day, parents would come early so they could choose their bunks, and we don't do that anymore. So there's no need to rush to get there early. We don't start any of the activities until 2:30. Same with checkout. Now, if you have something specific, if you're going on a trip and you know what, we have to pick up our child early because we're flying out of the country, that's fine. Let us know. We'll accommodate that. But otherwise, there's no need to come before 11 a.m. on Friday because you will not be able to get into camp. So, and we're still doing camp activities. So we're still in the dining hall and doing checkout and everything else. So someone asked a question about what time do you wake up? As you can see on the sketch, it says you have to be at flag raising as a cabin at 7:45. Some campers get up at 7, some get up at 7:30, some get up at 7:43, but everyone as a group has to be at flagpole at 7:45. There's also a slide coming up. A couple of you have asked questions about homesickness. We're going to talk about that in a second. Yes, Stephanie, you can come and set up your child's bed in the bunk. Absolutely no problem. The homesick question, they also asked about pictures. We do have 2 photographers on site, one at each camp, and their job the entire summer is to take pictures. So every single day at camp or every single evening, we post pictures on Facebook. So there's ample pictures. I can't promise you that your child will show up every day in a picture, but we endeavor to get as many pictures out as we can. So there are pictures. And again, we'll talk about homesickness in a moment. One of you guys want to just talk about how the showers work and how the camp store works? Meaning you guys, Emily and Kevin.
Sure. So for shower times, we are always supervising our bathrooms. So the counselors and other members of staff are always in there making sure that everyone's supervised and facilitating kind of that transition process. Obviously, outdoors, summer camp, kids are very dirty. So we're always on top of making sure every child has the opportunity to shower. And like I said, there's staff members monitoring from the bathroom because we know that's a hot spot for, kids think that they're not being getting supervised in that area, but they are. So the staff are always there making sure people are doing quick. We always say 2-minute showers, making sure they're using soap and facilitating that to make sure it goes smoothly and make sure everyone's getting clean.
Yeah, and the camp store, I think, was the next question. Yeah, so as Kevin mentioned, every single cabin is scheduled to go to the camp store. And they have an opportunity around an hour or so to kind of shop there. We have, apparel, so we have hoodies, t-shirts, we have little, stuffed animals, mugs, postcards if the campers want to send a postcard home. The way that the camp store works for the camp families, so you would log into your camp account the way that you registered your camper, and you can add funds on the camp store. If you're having trouble doing so, just give us a call or give us an email. We can help you, no problem at all. Camp shopping's one of our favorite times, because we actually get the chance to run the camp store and talk to the campers and see how their time at camp is going. But yeah, me and Kevin are working hard right now to make a really nice hoodie for all of our campers. So the pressure is definitely on, but we're excited.
Just maybe one other thing you guys can talk came up for a few questions. I'm sorry, there's a lot of you on here and the questions are coming fast and furious, so we are trying to address them. The question came up a few times about the age group of campers, because we talked about younger campers and older campers. So why don't you guys talk about that?
Yeah, I sorry, Kev, feel free to butt in at any moment.
Yes,
so in general, should I say, we have campers that range from age 7 all the way up into 16. At Camp Hayward, we have 5 age groups. Now, it is all relative, so one session might trend a little bit older than that of the other sessions. I'm going to talk a little bit about cabin mate requests in a second, so this might become clearer. But in general, our ages start from 7, as I mentioned. So we have 5 age groups at Hayward. The first age group is roughly from 7 to 10, and then from 10 to 12, and then a 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15 and 16-year-olds. Each of our age groups has a fun name. So the youngest campers are called the paddlers. The second youngest are called the outriggers. The middle camper ages are called the riveters. Then we have our pathfinders, and our trailblazers are our oldest campers at camp. And we'll go into a little bit more detail for cabin mate requests in a couple of slides. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but Kev, what are the age groups called at Burgess?
Yeah, so we operate very similar to Hayward, almost the same. We only have 4 age groups. So our youngest are called the navigators. Our middle unit, which is our biggest unit, I think it has 7 total cabins we're doing this year, right? Yeah. They're called the voyagers. We have kind of the upper older, still in the middle age group, the wranglers. And then our oldest campers are in the Vikings. All right, good to move.
Well, just on that, the question was just, I still think there's some clarity. So the age for campers for all is 7 to 15. That's the age range. We don't register we don't say, well, we have this many spots for 15-year-olds or this many spots for 10-year-olds. We have a certain number of spots at camp, 170 spots at the boys' camp. It's first come, first served. So one session we will have 2 cabins of 15-year-olds. One session might have 1. So it varies session to session. So in the middle, where the 11, 12, 13-year-olds are, depending on the session, one session when Emily and Kevin make the cabin groups, they take the 8 youngest kids in camp and they say, okay, here's cabin 1. Here's the 8 campers, taking into mind the cabin mate requests, which I'll talk about. And then the next group of campers will be in the second cabin, and so on. So there are some sessions where a camper might be 12 years old and be a senior in that session, depending on the fallout of how many kids of that age group. Another session, they might end up being a junior, depending on their age. So we're not registered by age. Someone asked the question, who is the Hayward leader? Emily is the leader of the girls' camp, and Kevin is the leader of the boys' camp. So let's go on to the next slide.
Cabin mate request, as if we knew. So a cabin mate request is a request that a camper makes for their bunkmate. So our policy is that we can honor 1 cabin mate request per camper as long as the request is mutual. So, you know, if I have my best friend Sophie, if Sophie and I are requesting each other and we're the same age, that's going to work out. So alongside our 1 mutual request, the campers have to be within 1 calendar year in age of each other. And that works both ways. So if my best friend is 13 and I'm 12, that's going to work out because we are within the calendar year of each other. If it is your first summer at camp, we can honor up to 2 requests. So we can do a triangle. So the 3 of you can be in the same cabin. We do want to make camp as inclusive as possible. Of course, there is a lot of campers that come to camp for the first time without a cabin mate request, and we want to, make a community feel of all of our cabins. Our cabins are very, very intentionally put together. So when Kevin and I are creating the cabins, we're of course taking into consideration the cabin mate requests, age, and also towns. So if you are from Hingham, I'm not going to fill the cabin with people from Hingham because you've come to camp to meet people from other towns and, meet new friends. So everything is very intentionally done. If you have requested someone who has not requested you, we're going to give your families a phone and just to let them know, this request isn't mutual. So maybe a friend has just forgotten to request you, and so that's an easy fix. Their family is just going to get in contact with us. Or we can give you an opportunity to go another way. Maybe you have a different cabin mate request. All that to say is, if your cabin mate request is not going to be honoured, you're going to be notified prior to check-in day. We can't tell you the cabin that you're going to be in for check-in day, and we can't give out information about a camper who isn't your camper. So if you are a camper and you're coming to camp and you want to know what cabin your friend is in, your family can't call us and ask about that camper because it is obviously confidential information. And it's exciting. You want to come to camp not knowing what your cabin is called or who is in your cabin. But if you have made a cabin mate request and it is mutual and you haven't heard from us, you can consider that we have honoured that. But we are going to be in constant communication with camp families. And as I mentioned, and just to reiterate again, if your cabin mate request is not going to be honoured, you will be notified prior. But there's going to be 8 kids in each cabin and 2 counsellors. But if you know who you want to share a cabin with, please get in touch with us as soon as possible. You may have already done so on your camp form. So your camp families are required to fill out a participant information form. So that's where we get some information on our campers and find out who they are and what they like doing so we can make their camp experience as best as possible. But on that form, there was an opportunity to put in a cabin mate request. If you missed that, not a problem. You can email Kevin or I at any time. The sooner the better, we prefer. But, things change. I know social dynamics change as well. So just feel free to email us probably around a week prior to the session starting, because that's when we start to put our cabins together and make the necessary phone calls. Anything else to add on that, Bruce or Kevin?
No, yeah, a couple people have asked how common, or do a lot of kids come to camp without making a friend request? Yes, many
Yes.
campers on both sides do not come with a friend, and it's great. I mean, a lot do, and that's great as well. But it's a great opportunity to meet new friends, and so yeah, that happens quite a bit. Someone also asked about the percentage of kids from the state or south. Most of our campers are from the South Shore, but they come from all over the state. We do get campers from out of state. We do get some international kids from Europe, some from Canada, but the majority of our campers are from the South Shore area.
And just to go off of the last comment, if your camper is coming without a cabin mate request, as I mentioned before, all of the cabins are curated really intentionally. So we would never put a camper that's coming alone in a cabin full of cabin mate requests. If a camper is coming by themselves, I'll also pair them with another camper that's by themselves. Everyone's going to have a buddy.
And yes, you can request top or bottom bunk. Now, if all 8 campers request a top bunk, then the counselors have to, do their best. But there is a spot on the forms to request top or bottom bunk. All right, let's go to the next slide.
Great. So, communicating with your camper at camp. So, as we talked about earlier, camp is a great place to take a break from the electronics, from their phones. So, what we do for new families specifically is all parents, you'll receive a update within 48 hours to let you know how your camper's doing, how they're adjusting to camp, maybe what activities they're in. So all of you will receive a phone call within the first 48 hours of your camper arriving to camp. We highly recommend, both for campers and parents, to write each other's letters. Obviously, campers, that's your main form of communication, is to write letters. We provide you with paper and pencil if you need one. Like Emily said, we have postcards in the office, which are great too. A great time to write those letters is during that break period after lunch. A lot of people like to write them at night too. We mail all camper mail out the next day. So as soon as you write your letter home, just hand it to your counselor and we'll put that in the mail. For parents, feel free to send letters in the mail. If you're going for a 1-week session, it might not be the best time-wise form of communication, but that's why we also offer the ability to email a camper. And on the next slide, we'll show you exactly how to do that. But the point is, every day at 4 p.m., we print out all the emails to all the campers we get. And we put them in the cabin mailbox, and the camper receives your letter at about 7 p.m. right after dinner. We highly recommend, both to campers and to parents, to stay in touch. It's a huge way to help alleviate homesickness. If you want to send a couple pictures, if you want to pack some pictures from home, feel free to do that. But this is a great way to, keep in touch with home and make sure everything's good. And for campers, you can tell your parents about all the fun stuff you're doing and how much you love your time at camp so far. And parents, obviously, keeping your camper in touch as well with anything fun that's going on. Maybe a picture of a pet is a great one too. But yeah, communication is huge. So the way you can email your camper is right on our homepage under registered families. You'll see that button right there that says email a camper. From there, you'll be taken to this page where you'll type in their name. Please, if you don't know their cabin, it's fine. I highly recommend on check-in day writing it down somewhere. There's some pretty funky cabin names. So make a note of that, because it makes it easier for us to sort it and get it to them as fast as possible. If you don't remember, that's fine. Still write your message and they'll get it anyway. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it there. There is no limit on how many emails you can send. You can send one every day if you want. You can send one, every couple days. It's completely up to you. But again, it's a great way to kind of keep in touch and see all the fun stuff that's going on. Sorry. Any questions?
Can you go back, Kevin? Can you go back to the slide before, please?
This one?
Yeah, thank you. So here you will see when you're on our website, there's something called, under registered families, there's something called the parent guide. Pretty much all of the information that we are sharing with you this evening is in the parent guide. Some of you have asked about emails, our email address, about different things. And again, I apologize. There's so many questions coming through, but 99% of what we're talking about, you'll find in the guide. If it's not there at any time, if we don't get to it tonight, like call us, email us, text us, we will respond to your questions. Lily asked the questions about emailing back. We do not have a setup where the campers can email you back. We only have 1 or 2 computers in each of the 2 camps. They're for business. You can imagine that each camp has over 150 campers. I mean, Hayward has over 250 campers. So there's not the option for your child to email you back. So I'm sorry about that. But send, as Kevin said, send as many emails as you like. Send pictures along. Is there a slide coming up to talk about more about communication or homesickness? Emily, Kevin, is there a homesickness slide coming up?
I don't believe so.
No, there's
Okay.
not.
Okay, that's okay. So the question has come up via on the chat and just in general, what happens if my child is homesick, or how do I get in contact with my child, or if my child wants to get in contact with me? As I mentioned earlier, if they go to the health center and we need to take them off site for any reason, the nurse will call you, or if the nurse has any concerns, they will contact you. If you are new to camp, which I think pretty much everyone on this call is, within the first 48 hours of camp, your child being at camp, you will get a call, not necessarily from the directors, but one of the unit leaders. They will call and say, your child's doing, here's what they're doing, here's their interest group, and give you an update on how they were doing in the first 2 days of being at camp. Everyone will get that call. Beyond that call, unless there is a problem at camp, you won't hear from us. Again, we encourage you to send emails and packages to your child. At any point during the week or 2 weeks that your child is at camp, you can call and speak to one of us. You can, if you really need to be, you can speak to their counselor or to the unit leader, speak to one of us. But unless it is an emergency, we don't have the child and the parent talk. Again, we have 500 kids on site each session, so it's not feasible for us to make that happen. So a word, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to jump in as well. It's worth saying, this is obviously something we address extensively in staff training. We have an incredible group of counselors, both new and returning. So we go over all the strategies and making sure, we're prepared for that. And, again, our staff is so incredible. We have people coming for 4, 5, 6, 7 years who are very experienced and are very successful in helping kids adjust to camp.
Yeah,
definitely.
So there is a myth when it comes to camp, is that that homesickness is a really big thing at camp. So I can tell you this summer, or every summer, we have 2,000 campers that come through camp in the summer. On the average, I would say less than 5 go home because of homesickness. It is not something that happens very often. I'll also say this, for all you campers out there, and again, I'm sorry I can't see your faces, everyone that comes to camp, camper or staff, Emily can tell you this, other staff can tell you, when you first come to camp, it doesn't matter if you're 7 or if you're 27, the first time you're at camp, for the first day, you make, oh, I miss home. That's normal. That's actually a good sign. It means you have a great home. Everyone feels a bit homesick. It doesn't mean it is a bad thing. Homesickness, missing your home, loving your home, missing your parents, that's okay. Homesickness, for 99% of the time, within the first 8 hours, the first 24 hours of camp, it passes. Once we get into camp and start going again, it is so rare that campers go home because they're homesick. If it happens that, the second day of camp, your child still seems like they're homesick and they're unhappy being there, then we'll call you. We'll call and say, hey, look, your child's, is having a rough time, or are there any specific activities that you would suggest that they can do? Or we will call and give you a heads up. At that point, we likely won't suggest that they go home. We will follow your lead as their parents. It is only as a last resort It might be the second day, but as only as a last resort, if they really seem like they're still homesick, then we'll have you get on the phone with them. But know this: once we have the parent and the child talk, then 99.9% of the time the child is going home. Once they hear, if they're homesick, once they hear mom and dad's voice, then they're going home, and that's okay. Camp doesn't work for every single person that comes to camp. And the last thing we don't want anyone being at camp and not being happier, and that goes for staff as well, right? And so, but I just don't want anyone thinking this is a really common thing, because it's not. But we will be in contact with you about that if it is a concern. I promise you that.
Definitely. And just to reiterate, the system of support at camp is so large. Like as Kevin said, we have, a large majority of our counselors have been campers themselves. And we have then a large cohort of international staff members who can sympathize with feeling homesick, etc. But it's not a bad thing. As Bruce said, we are going to try and make the camp experience as amazing as possible. There is a couple hurdles on the first day because you're in a new environment, but we're here to talk at any time. We just hope that every camper gives it a good try and does their best to dive into all the activities that we have at camp. And then the session goes very, very quick. Unfortunately for some, it goes so quick. But we're really excited, and it's definitely not a negative thing. So we're here to support you at any time.
A couple people have asked. We do have a couple open houses coming up. Tell me the dates again, you guys. May
That's
11th.
That's coming up on the next slide.
Okay. So we do have a couple open house dates coming up. Opportunity for you to come in and visit camp and see the cabins, meet our lovely directors and other staff, see the program areas. A few of you asked about bathrooms. There are no bathrooms in the cabin, but if you come and visit, you'll see there is no bathroom in camp that is more than a 30-second walk away from the cabins. So it's all in very close proximity, but they are not in the cabins. All right, next slide.
Well, again, it's almost like we preempted this. So our upcoming events are open houses and our volunteer days. I love open houses because I love speaking to the parents and connecting with parents, but I also love connecting with campers. And if campers come to the open house, I can learn your names. We can chill out before camp happens and just get to know each other and your new home. So we have two open house events, May 11th and May 18th from 12 until 3. You do not need to register for these open houses. We provide tours every 15 minutes or so. Things start at our respective dining halls, so you can come use our facilities, have a cookie, chill out, and then we're going to, as I said, take tours every 15 minutes. Our tours are often led by obviously Kevin and I and our staff and for the upcoming summer. So some of our counsellors will be there as well. Again, a huge opportunity for us to meet your campers, make them feel at ease and at home. And hopefully we'll get nice weather, so it will be fun. So we will, during the tour, again, you'll see our dining halls, you'll see the cabin, we'll visit the waterfront, we'll see the nurse, kind of get the lay of the land before you come on check-in day. Of note, Kevin will not be at one of the open houses, but his assistant director will be at the open house, so plenty of that to come. And also volunteer day. So prior to camp opening, we have a volunteer day where a lot of our staff members and a lot of our returning campers and new campers come to camp to help clean up camp. So if you're a new camper, it's a great opportunity to meet a couple of friends before the summer starts. We just like rake leaves and make our properties a little bit pretty. There's various different things to do, so it's not all heavy. It's not heavy lifting, so don't worry, campers. It's not like chores or anything like that. It's a nice opportunity to just help give back to the camp before it even starts and meet a new friend.
The question was asked, question was asked, if children have anxiety, who can they talk to? If you're talking about when they're at camp, first and foremost, they're counselors. And as Kevin said, we do a very robust training for staff We have about 75% return rate on counselors, and our staff majority have been campers. They know what camp is like, so they're trained in this. But they're, along with the counselors, there are other staff in camp. There are unit leaders, there are the directors, the nurses are there. There are 200 staff on camp who are here for the summer, who are trained and willing and able and ready to help them talk through any concerns they have. Go ahead, Gus.
Okay, awesome. And then of note as well, we have Memorial Day Family Camp. So this is an opportunity for parents and campers to camp together. We have two options for Memorial Day Family Camp. You can come for the weekend, so you can come from the 24th to the 26th, or you can come just for the day. So we have some really fun activities planned for that weekend, from rock climbing to our kayaking, canoeing, arts and crafts. It's like a little snapshot of what life is like for summer camp, not in the summer, but with your family. So you can sign up for this on our website. And if you have any questions about Memorial Day Family Camp, there is information again on our website, but you can email us at any time if that interests you. So yeah, and like we have been saying, you can email or call our offices at any time. We're more than happy to jump on a call with you and your camper, or just answer any questions that you may have. No question is a stupid question. And as Bruce said, I would refer to the parent guide first of all. That's your go-to. And then if you can't find the answer to your question, yeah, give us a call at any time. We love talking about camp. It's the only thing that keeps camp alive in the off season. So we're really, really excited for summer to begin and have you guys down there with us. But I would definitely encourage you, if you're having you're nervous about camp, that's so normal, but I would encourage you to try and get to one of the open houses and meet us in person. It's the best way to get the butterflies settled before camp begins.
Yeah, and just to echo that, like Emily said, we get it. As camp gets closer, the nerves can kind of pick up. Just give us a call. Again, we love talking about camp. We're happy to talk to you about camp. And yeah, we're really excited, and we're hoping that you guys are too. So.
Before we get off, question came up, and I thought we were going to have a slide on food, so my bad. So there is a sample menu, I believe, in the parent guide. Yes, guys?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. We will, if the sample menu is not in the parent guide, then we will let you know where you can find that. I can tell you from our surveys that we get every year that the kids love the food that we have. We have a great food service director. I can't go over the whole menu, the whole thing, but I mean, a typical breakfast might one morning be, bacon, eggs, and there's always fruit out for every breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We might have French toast one morning. There's always a cereal bar in the breakfast. Lunch and dinner, there's always a salad bar out there. We might have grilled cheese and soup one day for lunch, lasagna for dinner. It's a pretty varied menu. The menu works on a 2-week basis. We know at the beginning of each session how many vegetarians are in camp, how many vegans are in camp, how many we call them. You guys still call them chickatarians. Yeah. So we know the different food allergies and things that people eat, and we account for them for each meal. And as I said, there's always a salad bar out for each lunch and dinner. We do serve family style. So meaning when the chef makes the dinner, if he's making lasagna for everybody. And so again, we'll have a vegetarian option and a vegan option and a salad bar, but it's not cafeteria style where there's 8 different things to choose from for dinner. If there's really nothing at dinner the child likes, then we'll make them peanut butter and jam sandwich, of course, or not peanut butter and jam. We'll make them a sandwich. But I can tell you that the food, again, we have a very talented and experienced food service director. Often parents will say to me, "Oh, my child is a picky eater. How do you deal with that?" And my experience, and these guys can speak to this, is it's not really ever an issue at camp. There is an ample amount of food, there's an ample amount of choices, and the kids are so busy and so active. When they get in the dining hall, they're eating. I can count the times once every 5 years or 10 years that I've been here that we have had a child that just couldn't eat the food that was here, was unhappy with the food. So it's not an issue at camp, but go online and look at the sample menu. If you are able to come to camp for the open houses, then again, you'll get to meet a food service director and find out more about the food. I know some of you are coming in late and asking, if someone asked about activities for every session, we can't kind of go back to that. This session has been recorded, so you can always go back and listen to their stuff. So the parent guide is on the website under registered families, someone who just asked that. So again, a lot of the good stuff is on there. So Kevin, Emily, any last things you want to say?
Yeah, I think the last thing I would say is camp is all about options. If a camper doesn't want to do things, we introduce their options. There's a lot of options, you know, from the dining hall food to the activities. Just because the camper doesn't want to get into the water doesn't mean that they can't be involved in the activity. It's all about building the camper's resilience, building the camper's ability to advocate for themselves and you know, speak for themselves and have a good time through that and build relationships and friendships. But you know, campers always have options, and we're going to be there to, you know, support and champion them throughout the session. We really are passionate about having campers stay with us for as long as they can. As I hope, you know, you all on the call, this is the first summer of many. A lot of our campers come for, you know, as long as they can come, and then they are staff members. So, you know, this is the start of an awesome journey for you all, and we're really excited to be your mentors through that. So as we've said before, please do reach out. Please try and come to the open houses. Really excited to meet you all. I love Hayward so much. Burgess is all right as well. But no, I'm excited to meet you, and thank you for jumping on.
Yeah, the only other thing I'd add is to truly get excited. You know, I'm one of those people that we're talking about that started as a camper, you know, and I can say to this day, the best friends I've made in life are at camp. I love this place dearly, and I know that you guys are going to love it as well. So I know it can be nerve-wracking, you know, first summer, but trust me, you're going to walk away very happy and having a lot of new friends. So get excited.
Yeah, we're so excited, and we're nervous too because we care so much, right? So we're excited.
And just I'll wrap up and I'll say, again, I've been doing this a long time. I have 3 daughters. They all went to camp. They all were staff. 2 of them are actually still staff to this day. I'm sorry if we couldn't get to all your questions. Thank you for all the folks that right now are sending hearts and applause and everything else. Appreciate that. If we didn't get to your question, because a lot of them came through, do not be shy. Reach out to us, email, text, call. We want you and your camper to be as comfortable and as familiar and as with camp as possible. So as Emily said earlier, there's no bad questions. There's nothing silly. If you can't come visit us in the open house dates, call, email, text, and we look forward to seeing you this summer.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.